Thank you very much. My problem is that I know once you start reading this biography, it will be a speech on its own. It's very, very long, and my apology that I'm cutting it short. And Honourable Minister, and thank you for program directing, but I think people who want to get more of my journey from liberation struggle to government to now, they can just simply Google it. Otherwise, it will take forever. My apology for disorganizing you there, but unfortunately, we're running out of time, so we have to try and speed up the process. I'd like to, this is our second session, and without any waste of time, and I wish to firstly thank Minister for Program Directing earlier on in the session, and we also wish to thank President Mnangagwa for his very bold opening remarks, and particularly the inspiration that we can draw from Zimbabwe's initiatives to find African solutions to African problems. I was deliberately listening and picking up on those issues because I think that when we come to conferences, we don't only come to talk, we come to talk to each other, but we also come to learn from each other and see what is it that we can do in ensuring that we take this continent and the South-South cooperation, and in particular South-South and triangular cooperation, into full speed. I wish to also indicate that in his speech, the President spoke of progress within the empowerment of women and innovation hubs for youth development. These are excellent examples of the things we have to do to reap the demographic dividend of the Global South. And also, I wish to indicate and thank the President because consistently, as Africans in particular, I think when we occupy these spaces, we must never forget the fact that Zimbabwe still remains under sanctions, and sanctions have been a big problem for a very long time. I think it's more than 20 years, eh? Yes, it's more than 20 years of sanctions, and we all have to do everything we can for the removal of those sanctions. I also thank Ms. Lydia Zikomo, Regional Director of the UNFPA, for the important work that UNFPA does in our region and other regions of the world to galvanize our shared commitments to the empowerment of women, gender equality and equity, to reap the demographic dividend through youth development in national and regional programs, as well as through South-South and triangular cooperation. In thanking also the ministers and deputy ministers and vice ministers who took the chance to be here today. I'm not going to go to each one by name. I think it was done earlier in the morning. The recognition of everyone important and special here was done. I also wish to express appreciation for the foresight of the organizers, that is PPD, the UNFPA and the government of Zimbabwe, to have recognized the importance of South-South triangular cooperation as lens through which we should take stock of our progress with and indeed the future of ICPD program. Of course, it wouldn't be, I would have remiss not to indicate the fact that when the officials were in Thailand, was it, Zimbabwe did agree to support what is this conference here. And again, as the President indicated, I'm hoping that people will be able to take a bit of time to see what is going on around this area, and in particular, Musi Watunya. The global order, as established during the centuries of colonization, can never create a more equal and equitable world for all its people. We have learned through our struggles of national liberation in the last century, and are reminded of it every day when we look at the performance of population and development indicators across our different countries. And I think it was the President himself who spoke about how the population of Zimbabwe has doubled within a very short space of time. What does that mean for Zimbabwe itself in terms of resources, in terms of growth, in terms of sustainable development, in terms of implementation and in terms of creating a conducive environment for all Zimbabweans to live in a country and be able to contribute towards building that country. South-South cooperation is important because it's a tangible way for us as developing countries to demonstrate our solidarity with each other. It's also a vehicle through which to learn from each other, as I indicated earlier on, because our governments and our people are facing similar challenges in the. Can you guys please stop there? Please? Please. You are disturbing people who are there. They can't hear because you are arguing between the two of you. Don't know what you're arguing about. South-South cooperation was recognized as an important pathway to development of the ICPD Program of Action when it was negotiated in 1994. The founding members of the PPD decided in Cairo to give immediate expression to this recognition by forming our organization. The fact that we are holding the 20th International Inter-Ministerial Conference in preparation for our 30th anniversary as part of the 30 years of the ICPD Program of Action underscores relevance of South-South and triangular cooperation. When I was reading the documents and going through the history of ICPD and all the interministerials that have happened, I was saying, Jacques, I hope you guys can take your time to look at that journey of 20 years. What has been our success? What has been our weaknesses? What has been our failures? Because the past 30 years cannot be the same as the next 30 years. And so as we go to the 30th year of ICPD Program of Action evaluation, we need not fumble and be waffling with words, but we must get to the point of what is it that we need to do for our peoples in the next 30 years. And because the sustainability of the ICPD, and not only just the program of action, but the sustainability of ICPD itself is facing many, many other challenges of other organizations that are forming themselves this side and that side. So let's just make sure that we are not pushed aside by new developments and new challenges. The purpose of this session is to share our experiences that are relevant to the session's theme as related by ministers, deputy ministers, and senior officials and vice ministers, because in some countries it's vice, I know that. Often we pay lip service to the call for political commitment, and in South Africa these days, in my department, I'm saying, Minister, political commitment, if it is not supported by administrative commitment and administrative support, you just talk as political people, and the people who are supposed to help you implement, because you can't be the minister and yet be the same person that makes sure there's implementation. The budget sits with the administrators and those people who are supposed to implement, and I'm hoping that even here we can talk about that. The ball will set in motion with an update of the global ICPD 30 review process by Mr. Arthur Erken, the UNFPA's Director for Policy and Strategy. Thereafter, I will invite the panelists each to share their views and their country's activities. I also will apologize up front because I thought if we're going to go into each one's biography, we're going to have a problem of time. If you want to know about the people who are speaking and we haven't given enough, please Google. Thank you very much.